All right, let's get into it. What's the connection between comedy rap, First Amendment battles, and yes, a presidential run? Meet Afroman.
Hi, I'm Emma, and I'm high-key curious today. Buckle up.
So, picture this. Joseph Edgar Foreman, born in Los Angeles in the 70s, grows up a church kid who plays drums and guitar. He becomes Afroman, the comedy rapper who gave us Because I Got High, the earworm people were humming in the early 2000s whether they smoked or not. He's not just jokes, he's a civil liberties guy, loud about cannabis legalization, louder about police accountability, and very comfortable turning his own life into protest art. That mixes the tea today. Quick personal story, because that concert moment helps explain what I mean. I went to this concert, super hyped, expecting bops and bad lighting, you know, the usual. Halfway through, the lead singer pulls a switch. Suddenly it's speeches, voter registration tables, and a 5-minute monologue about rent being a scam. At first, I'm like, oh my god, I paid for drums, not democracy. But then something happened. People started listening. Phones went down. A stranger next to me cried. It hit me how a stage is a megaphone. It can sell merch, sure, but it can also move a crowd from vibes to values. That's Afroman energy. He'll clown, then cut to the bone about rights and power, and you don't see the pivot coming until you're in it. Okay, basics first. Afroman's brand is humor plus social commentary. It's weed jokes, yes, but it's also about freedom, hypocrisy, and how we police fun. Because I Got High blew up around 2000, not through some elite label pipeline, but through Napster, that early file-sharing site where teenagers traded MP3s like Pokemon, and a boost from The Howard Stern Show, the shock jock who turned outrageous airtime into cultural rocket fuel. The song then lands in films like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the Kevin Smith buddy comedy, and it becomes a soundtrack to an era when stoner culture was moving from punchline to politics. He wasn't some overnight darling who stayed dependent on gatekeepers either. He dropped tapes as a kid. In 8th grade, he literally sold a diss track about a teacher and moved hundreds of copies. Entrepreneurial, messy, iconic. In the late 90s, he leaves Southern California for Hattiesburg, Mississippi, links with drummer Jody Stallone, keyboardist and bassist Daryl Havard, and producer Tim Romanowski, also known as Headfridge, who becomes a key collaborator and releases Because I Got High on a small label. That pivot out of LA mattered, he has said. Midwestern and Southern crowds were more open to weird genre blends than the too cool LA scene. Sometimes you need a new zip code to find your people. By 2001, Universal Records swoops in and puts out The Good Times, a compilation of his earlier stuff with new tracks, and suddenly he's on the big stages. He even pops up on Cypress Hill's Smokeout Festival. Cypress Hill are West Coast hip-hop legends with a weed-friendly legacy. Alongside Deftones, the alt-metal band with ethereal chaos energy, and Method Man, the Wu-Tang Clan rapper whose voice is butter and gravel. Then, 2002 Grammy nomination for Best Rap Solo Performance for a song that got famous on Napster. Tell me that isn't the internet punking the music industry. Now, the part I love, Control. Around 2004, he leans indie, releasing albums online and doing parody and protest on his own terms. Joe Bells, a satirical Christmas record. A Colt 45 Christmas, more holiday chaos, waiting to inhale, you can guess the theme. And Frobama, head of state, political commentary with a smirk. He keeps feeding the internet because he understood early that attention is the currency. That move kept him weird, free, and, yes, relevant. But sidebar, because we keep it real here. In 2015, he punched a woman who walked on stage at a Biloxi show, got arrested, apologized, and did anger management. His rep said it was an involuntary reaction to an invasion of space. He also said he mistook her for a heckler. Intent is debated, impact isn't. Not okay. Live shows need better boundaries and better security, period. I can respect his accountability steps and still say, big yikes. All right, let's move on, because the most explosive chapter is the Ohio raid. In 2022, deputies from Adams County searched his home while he was out of state, reportedly on suspicion of kidnapping and drug trafficking. No evidence was found. No charges were filed. Doors were broken, security stuff damaged, cash seized, then returned with about 400 allegedly missing, which the department disputed. He goes on social media criticizing the raid, saying even before that a burglary case went nowhere and he was threatened with arrest for pushing for in no way that one day was killing the bots, and the shot did was that it spoke in VR. Here's where he flips the table. He turns his home security footage into music videos calling out the raid, Will You Help Me Repair My Door, hysterically literal, Lemon Pound Cake set to the tune of Under the Boardwalk, the classic by the Drifters, and Why You Disconnecting My Video Camera. Viral city. Door passes 9 million on YouTube, lemon pound cake crosses 3 million. It's protest art with receipts, like actual surveillance receipts. I'm not saying everyone should weaponize their ring cam, but I am saying that's a genre now. Then the plot twist. 7 deputies sue him in 2023 for defamation and false light, saying the videos and posts humiliated them. Quickie LI5, defamation is a false fact claim that hurts your reputation. False light is when you're portrayed in a misleading way that would offend a reasonable person. Because they're public officials, they need to show actual malice, which means he knew it was false or didn't care whether it was true. The court tossed the misappropriation of likeness claim, basically saying he could show their images, but let the defamation and false light claims go to trial. The ACLU jumps in with an amicus brief, a friend of the court memo, calling it a SLAP, a strategic lawsuit against public participation, meaning a case meant to intimidate a critic by making them spend time and money. The social stakes are huge. Can citizens post and parody what public officials do in our homes? Where's the line between privacy and public accountability? If an artist can't remix his own security footage into a critique, what does that say about the First Amendment and the camera phone era? Fast forward to 2026. The trial lands. He shows up in an American flag suit, very on brand, and the jury clears him on everything. No defamation, no invasion of privacy, no damages. That verdict doesn't magically solve police community trust, but it does plant a flag that public officials have a higher bar if they want to shut you up. My take, the raid reads like a transparency fail, and his response was both petty in the best way and perfectly constitutional. Not everyone has a beat and a fan base to fight back, which is the point. The law shouldn't only work if you can rhyme your receipts. And on policy, Afroman keeps remixing his legacy to push change. In 2014, he redid Because I Got High to make a legalization argument, flipping the message from downgrading your life to, hey, cannabis has uses and criminalization is the real drag. That's not just a stunt. That's an artist pulling yesterday's hit into today's debate. And yes, he even announced a 2024 presidential run in late 2022, talking inflation, housing, police corruption, weed reform. Was it a serious bid? A stunt? Both can be true. If the message gets airtime, the mission isn't mid. Zooming out, the catalog is a time capsule of how comedy rap grew teeth. From holiday parodies like Joe Bells to pop culture skewers to albums like Lemon Pound Cake in 2022, Famous Player in 2023, and 2024. He has lived in Los Angeles, South Central, Palmdale, Las Vegas, and Mississippi, and that swirl shows up in the sound. Church rhythms, West Coast swing, Southern hospitality, and internet troll energy all in one blender. Oh, and he once declared himself Christian in the early 2000s, which feels like another reminder that people contain multitudes. Weed Anthem guy can still talk about faith. Humans are messy. That's the headline. Pop culture impact check. Because I Got High still gets laughs at parties, but it also became a mirror. We went from giggling at stoners to wondering why our laws were so gleefully cruel to them. That's the art. Humor that sneaks in a values lesson, like a gummy with a civics center. It shows up in movies, in memes, and how artists now treat music videos like editorial cartoons. And that's why Afroman matters, even if you've never touched a blunt or a ballot. Okay, pause. This next part is everything. Next time, we're talking the evolution of comedy rap in the streaming era, who's pushing boundaries, who's just doing novelty for clicks, and how satire survived cancel culture. Bring your spiciest takes. Okay, we covered a lot. Stay curious, stay loud, and if life raids your living room, hit record. Later.